What is going on, guys? For obvious reasons, some awful football was expected to begin the 2020 NFL season. After all, teams had limited practice time and no preseason games because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Still, some single-game performances have been so awful that they simply cannot be ignored. You can't use the lack of preseason as an excuse for playing as poorly as these guys did at some point during the first half of the 2020 season. Here's a look at the worst performances so far this season. Number 10, Sam Darnold's awful Week 7 outing versus Bills. The New York Jets have been the worst team in football here in 2020, and quite frankly, it's really not even close. You have to feel for their third-year quarterback Sam Darnold, who hasn't stood a chance with a woeful offensive line, a lackluster supporting cast, and an unqualified head coach in Adam Gase. Nothing has gone right for the Jets in 2020, but at least they're about to land another potential franchise-changing draft selection. There's been a whole lot of yuck and yikes for the Jets in 2020. That included Darnold's Week 7 performance against the Buffalo Bills. The Jets defense actually kept this game close, but they couldn't pick up their first win of the season largely because of Darnold's struggles. He completed just 12 of 23 pass attempts for 120 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Darnold under pressure and he goes down. Darnold now throwing and intercepted. Fake to him. Darnold smothered at about the...
Darnold was sacked 6 times, and he finished with a horrid 31.1 quarterback rating. The Jets lost 18-10, moving to 0-7 on the year. Number 9, Ezekiel Elliott's Week 6 Monday night debacle. The Dallas Cowboys handed 2-time rushing champion Ezekiel Elliott a 6-year, $90 million extension before the start of the 2019 season, and Zeke proved his worth by rushing for 1,357 yards and 12 touchdowns. But the cap-strapped Cowboys may now be regretting that contract here in 2020. Elliott simply hasn't been as explosive behind a banged-up offensive line, and his ball security issues have been concerning. The Cowboys hoped Elliott could carry the offense in a Week 6 Monday night tilt against the Arizona Cardinals. This marked Andy Dalton's first start in Dallas, following Dak Prescott's gruesome ankle injury 1 week earlier. While Elliott and the entire Cowboys team flopped mightily in this game, Elliott fumbled in the first quarter, which Arizona turned into 7 points.
Shovels it forward, and Zeke fumbles the football. Flip it to Christian Kirk. Got the angle and got the touchdown.
On Dallas' next drive, Elliott fumbled again, and Arizona also turned that into a touchdown to build up a quick 14-0 lead.
There's some pressure. Baker was coming, and the ball comes out. And Arizona... It is Kenyon Drake.
The 2 careless fumbles summed up the entire night for Elliott. The Cowboys were blown out 38-10, and the $90 million man finished with a brutal stat line of 12 carries for 49 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 lost fumbles. Number 8, Packers run defense against Dalvin Cook in Week 8. The Green Bay Packers were expected to crush the 1-win Minnesota Vikings at home in Week 8. Aaron Rodgers and company soundly defeated Minnesota on the road, 43-34 back in Week 1 after all. Not to mention that Kirk Cousins has a well-documented and woeful record against winning teams. These Vikings stood no chance in a place where they rarely picked up victories, right? Well, Dalvin Cook had something to say about that. Mini superstar running back turned in a career day at Lambeau Field, but it was largely thanks to the Packers defense, which was downright atrocious in this one. Cook ran for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns on 30 carries. He also had a 50-yard touchdown reception in the third quarter. Minnesota's 173 rushing yards was more than enough to pull off a 28-22 upset win.
And up the middle, big hole. Dalvin Cook is going to score. Cook again, right side walks. Oh, Dalvin Cook again going to work and still on his...
According to Pro Football Focus, Green Bay safeties Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage had a combined 5 missed tackles in the game. Oh, and PFF stated that 111 of Cook's 163 rushing yards came after contact. Indeed, it was a miserable day at the office for the Packers run D. Number 7, Jared Goff's Week 8 turnover fest. Credit Jared Goff and the Los Angeles Rams for bouncing back, at least in the first half, following a disappointing 2019 season. The defense under first-year coordinator Brandon Staley, coupled with the improvements of Goff and the Rams' offensive line, have been instrumental in the turnaround. That said, the first overall pick from the 2016 draft is still prone to some poor performances, as evidenced by the Rams' Week 8 road game against the Miami Dolphins. Quite frankly, it was one of the worst, if not the worst, outing of Goff's young NFL career. The Dolphins' defense made life easy for rookie Tua Tagovailoa in his first NFL start. He didn't have to do a whole lot, because Miami completely pummeled Goff and the Rams' O-line. Goff threw 2 interceptions and lost a pair of fumbles, one of which was returned for a 78-yard touchdown. For those keeping count, that's 4 turnovers, and he was sacked twice.
Goff hit, ball comes loose, Dolphins have it, and he will take it all the way for a Dolphin. Goff picked off.
The Rams lost 28-17, even though Goff completed 35 passes for 355 yards. But those fancy stats don't matter if you turn it over 4 times. Number 6, Chargers' fourth quarter defense in Week 8. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert's phenomenal rookie play hasn't been enough to change the Los Angeles Chargers' fortunes in 2020. This team suffered 4 classic Chargers losses in the first 7 games alone. First, they blew 2 separate fourth quarter leads in a Week 2 overtime loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Then they blew a 17-point lead to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a Week 4 loss. A week later, they blew a 17-point lead to the New Orleans Saints en route to losing in overtime. And somehow the Chargers managed to outdo all of those classic Chargers losses during their Week 8 game against the Denver Broncos. The Chargers crushed Drew Lock and the Denver offense for the bulk of 3 quarters. They built a 24-3 lead midway through the 3rd frame, but a Phillip Lindsay 55-yard touchdown cut that lead to 14 points. Still, LA was in prime position to hang on for a road win in the Mile High City. They just needed their defense to close it out. The Chargers' lead was down to 10 with 7.5 minutes left in the 4th. Then Deshaun's 40-yard touchdown cut the deficit to 3 points. LA's lead got extended by booting a 33-yard field goal. The lock drove the Broncos down into the red zone, and they faced a 4th down situation at the Chargers' 18, needing a miracle of some sort to win the game. Luckily for the Broncos, the Chargers found another incredible way to blow it.
It's right in the corner.
Lock to the end zone. Incomplete.
That gave the Broncos one last shot to win, and of course they made good on it.
Lock gonna roll and throw.
It's the Chargers, people. Once again, their defense couldn't close it out, and every single one of us saw it coming. Number 5, Marcus Peters gets roasted by his former team in Week 3. Marcus Peters was a 2016 Pro Bowler and first-team All-Pro for the Kansas City Chiefs. But his 3-year tenure with the franchise ended in the 2018 offseason, when he was traded to the Los Angeles Rams. Peters struggled a lot in Wade Phillips' defense, and the acquisition of All-Pro corner Jalen Ramsey made Peters expendable. He was traded to the Baltimore Ravens prior to the 2019 trade deadline, and Peters quickly revived his career under defensive coordinator Don Wink Martindale, earning a 2019 Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors. Peters got a chance at revenge on Monday Night Football in Week 3. But Peters' familiarity with his old team didn't help one bit on this night. Rather, he was a liability in coverage, and Patrick Mahomes picked on him all night long.
Pressure was picked up nicely. Mahomes on the run, throwing and completing the... Mahomes looking for Tyreek Hill.
According to Pro Football Focus, Peters allowed 7 receptions for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. He finished with a woeful 28.5 coverage grade on the night in an ugly 34-20 home loss. Number 4, Eagles offensive line in Week 1 loss to Washington. The Philadelphia Eagles are poised to record their 3rd NFC East Division title in 4 years, but in Week 1 against the Washington football team. Yikes. They certainly didn't look like a team that was ready to earn another playoff berth. Philadelphia watched what seemed like an insurmountable 17-0 lead evaporate. Washington scored 27 unanswered points to win the game, and that was thanks to their resilient front 7 anchored by rookie Chase Young. Washington took advantage of a banged-up Eagles offensive line, and they sacked Carson Wentz a whopping 8 times.
In trouble and fumble the football. Bounces away, looking, and down he goes. And it's in trouble. Sack, ball is looped, picked up by...
I don't care how great of a quarterback you are. It's hard to win when you're getting 0 protection from your O-line, and Wentz learned that in Week 1. The good news is that he can't possibly expect to take that many sacks in a single game again. Number 3, Cam Newton in Week 7 against 49ers. The Cam Newton project showed promising results in the first 3 weeks. The New England Patriots started out 2-1, and they were competitive without Newton in their Week 4 road loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. But Newton and the Patriots lost their early season magic after a Week 5 bye, and it's looking like Foxborough will see no playoff action for the first time in 18 years. It's hard being a Patriots fan, isn't it? A week after the Pats were upset at home by the Broncos, they looked for a rebound in Week 7 against the 49ers. But boy oh boy did it get ugly, and fast. The 49ers defense shut down Newton and the New England offense. He completed only 9 of 15 pass attempts, 0 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, and 1 sack. The 49ers also limited Newton to 19 rushing yards on 5 carries.
Patriots. Here's the deep ball, and it's over the head of his receiver and picked.
Bill Belichick saw enough and decided to let Jarrett Stidham finish out the game, which ended in a 33-6 victory from San Fran. Number 2, Cowboys rushing defense in Week 4 against the Broncos. Losing Dak Prescott for the season derailed the Cowboys' hopes in 2020. But don't let his absence hide the fact that this is one of the absolute worst defenses the league has ever seen. New head coach Mike McCarthy took a major risk when he brought back old friend Mike Noland to lead his D. Cowboys fans surely tried to avoid panicking after dismal outings in Week 2 and 3, but the problems with Nolan's group were hard to ignore after an embarrassing Week 4 performance against the Cleveland Browns, namely in the run-stopping department. Even though star running back Nick Chubb had to exit the game in the first quarter with a knee injury, the Browns' rushing offense had a historic day against Dallas. The Browns racked up, wait for it, 307 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on 40 carries.
He'll give it to Hunt again, and Kareem Hunt still on his feet, working towards the end. Has it here. Slides to the outside. Kareem Hunt!
That's the most Dallas has ever allowed in a single game. It was a complete waste of a phenomenal day from Prescott, who had 41 completions for 502 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Browns went on to win 49-38, thanks to the Cowboys' inability to make any stops whatsoever on the ground. Number 1, Stephen Gostkowski's Titans debut. After 14 seasons with the New England Patriots, 3-time Super Bowl champion kicker Stephen Gostkowski signed with the Tennessee Titans. He was reunited there with former teammate and Tennessee head coach Mike Vrabel. It felt like a perfect fit. For the most part, Gostkowski has been a reliable enough kicker in the Music City, but we cannot ignore Gostkowski's Tennessee debut. A Week 1 Monday nighter against the Broncos, Gostkowski missed 3 of 4 field goal attempts, a 47-yarder, a 44-yarder, and a 42-yarder. Oh, and he missed an extra point in the fourth quarter.
Pass a season ago. Here's Gostkowski on the way. That was blocked. Hard attempt. He's missed one, had one block, and a bit of a low snap there.
Sorry, but not acceptable. The weather was just fine in Denver, and 40-something yards aren't supposed to be difficult in this day and age, especially in the Mile High City. The irony is that Gostkowski actually played hero by kicking the game-winning 25-yarder in the waning seconds. It helped Tennessee escape with a 16-14 victory. But come on, it shouldn't have even gotten to that point. His kicking woes cost the Titans 10 points before his game winner. I bet a lot of fantasy football owners could have used those points. At least Gostkowski settled down and started to perform better in the ensuing weeks. What other horrible performances from the 2020 season should we have included on our list? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we are on everything. Go find us, go follow. Of course, like this video, it helps us out. We really appreciate it. And subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.